Welcome. We'll begin the Housing Committee meeting of Akron City Council. I'd like to respectfully request a roll call, please.
Fusco.
Aye.
McKittrick. Aye. Connor. Aye. Garrett.
Aye.
And DeShazier. We have all committee members present except for Councilman DeShazier.
Very good, thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Very good. With that, we have two guests with us today for the Housing Committee. I'll let you two introduce yourselves. Thank you both for coming. Appreciate it a lot. And you're no strangers here, but welcome.
Go ahead, Ms. Terry.
Tara Mosley Weems, Court Navigator for Akron Municipal Court.
Very good.
Byron Finney, Housing Specialist for Akron Municipal Courts.
Absolutely. Both of you are well known. We appreciate what you do for the courts. Yeah, so the floor is yours.
So we want to thank you for letting us come over. As you know, our position is a grant-funded position through the National Center of State Courts. It's a 2-year funded, and we are in year 2. Our funding will be ending in November of this year. So we just wanted to come over and let you all know what we do in the community. We gave you folders, and within those folders, you have a housing brochure that we have throughout the community. We also have various activities that we do within the communities. We have I believe the first page is the summons flyers that goes out to all the tenants who may be receiving a eviction letter. Let them know what's available in the courts, how they can reach out to her. The next thing we have is the landlord flyer that goes out to all the landlords in the city. We work with Dwayne Greger in Housing and Compliance, and he sends out about 5,000 of those to all the landlords to let them know that there's alternative ways to other than evicting a tenant. So with that, they'll reach out to us and see if there's anything that we can do for the tenant so they don't have to go through the eviction process. And then the tenant will also reach out to us to see if there's anything available. We have various things that we do within the community. All our flyers are throughout the community centers, United Way, Red Cross, Salvation Army, all those agencies that help people out. They refer a lot of people to us. And then we speak at all the ward meetings, so we try to be visible in the community. We speak at all the landlord conferences, landlord clinics. We just were in Chicago for the National Center of State Courts, our annual meeting. We're the only court in the United States that actually go and do set-outs. So when our bailiffs go out on Wednesdays, that's the day that we don't have evictions. We'll go out with our bailiffs, and then we'll offer some services to people that's being put out. Sometimes they don't get a chance to show up in court, or they forget their court date. And then when we show up with the bailiffs, they need housing. So we have a running list, summithousingsearch.org, that we pass out to the people so that they can see what's available and they can reach out. We also have the Manor downtown, which is usually probably like a last resort place if somebody's in sort of like a homeless situation. And then we also have what we use right now is a Stout survey through the National Center of State Courts, but we started our own Survey Monkey, and that survey is in the back, and it kind of gives you a glimpse of how we talk to people, some of the needs, some different things like that, and it has pie charts. And then I'll let my partner, Ms. Tara, take it from here.
Thank you for having us. One of the things that, if I could walk you through what our morning looks like at the courthouse. Virone usually is downstairs in the morning when the eviction hearings start at 9 a.m. And usually Bond is catching Virone when the people are coming out to go and have a conversation with Virone about housing and possibly finding housing for them. But it's two-pronged. If it's very detailed and they need housing, they then come upstairs to the resource center where I'm located. And we try to get them signed up for housing. A lot of the individuals have never signed up for AMHA housing, so we have within our resource center, we have a computer set up where they can sit right there in the resource center and sign up for housing, and then we'll look for other housing for them, like Virone mentioned, our housing search, Summit Housing Search, which was brought by United Way, is the one who initiated that. And so our job is really trying to find housing for those who are about to be houseless. Some of them, unfortunately, will have to go to the Haven Arrest. One of the things that we've noticed in our work is a lot of times when they are a single individual, whether male or female, and there's no children and they're not a veteran, it's very difficult to find housing for them. And hence is the reason why you find places like Haven Arrest is really being impacted by that when we have an influx of evictions. One of the things that we've also noticed is a lot of mostly men are veterans, and they have no idea that the veteran services that they are entitled to. So we spend a lot of time talking with VSC or with Veterans Affairs about resources that we can guide them to. And in those individuals, they're usually putting them in a transitional housing and then transitioning them into public housing that they can afford. And one of the things that we were able to do in our time at the Resource Center is building out a job board for those individuals, because a lot of times people are being evicted is because they lost their job, fell behind. A lot of them just lost employment. So us putting that job board up there, and we allow them to stay there and put the application in while they're there within the Resource Center. And then some of those individuals will even call us and say, hey, we're looking for somebody to do some clean outs for us, and we'll put it on the board. And one of the companies that operates some of the apartments back on Zahn actually hired one of the individuals who had been evicted and was looking for a job. And so they did hire him, and my understanding, he's still there working with them. So I think putting the job board up was just a plus to what we already do there. And if they are able to, and what we found that we are trying to tweak is our mediation department, where our mediator, Hope, her trying to mediate the day of an eviction hearing is becoming very difficult because they're wanting her to do something so taskful within a 15-minute period, which sometimes becomes an issue if you can't get the parties to agree. So we're working on trying to make sure that we can either have a part-time mediator or a facilitator, someone who could take on that, because she does do the afternoon civil docket as well. So between the three of us, we do our best to try to help those who need the assistance. Through our Scout program, I believe when they came over for capital budget, they talked about our numbers within our Scout program, and we see.
What does that stand for? I'm sorry.
What does Scout stand for? Yes. I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
It's a state
It's
court
just a
mandated,
state website that we input all of our research and data into, and then it kicks out the numbers to us. One of the things that our IT department was working with Scout on was because the systems weren't reading each other. So when we would input our information in, we realized that some of the data that we were inputting wasn't transitioning over. So our IT department has been working with Stout, Miss Charlotte, and Clarence over in our office, trying to get them to read each other.
Gotcha.
But one of the best things that we were able to do, which I think was a saving grace for us, is having a paper intake form. So when people do come into the Resource Center, we're still making them do a paper form, even though we want to, QR codes are great, but this, I think, really, really allowed us to say, wait a minute, these numbers don't look accurate, and we were able to go back to those forums, and we realized there were so many individuals, information that did not switch over.
Yeah, were you guys able to get that in, or is it?
Yes,
you're chipping away at?
We're chipping away at it, so we are leaving that to the IT department to handle.
Of course.
But we're still, I think, because we wanted to make sure that we're being proactive, we put together our own Excel sheet, so we're able to still make sure that we're following that data. So we're getting ready to have a job fair tentatively in June 11th. We're able to go back and send emails to all those individuals who have touched the Resource Center to say, hey, listen, we're having a job fair, and being able to invite all those individuals in, because what we've noticed is most of it is people have lost employment.
Yeah, no, I got you.
And another thing that we're doing with the community outreach is we had a clinic for our landlords, clinic for our tenants, and then in the back of your form, we having a home buyers workshop that's indirectly through the courts. It's through my nonprofit, but it's pretty much representing the people in the community. We partner with House 330. So we're going to have different people to go over different things that can help people become homeowners. Because one of the things we're seeing is we're getting a lot of out-of-state investors that's buying a lot of properties and they just going up on the rent. So you got people paying $1,500, $1,800 for rent. So you're trying to get them the gist of, hey, in 10 years, you're just giving somebody $180,000 as opposed to just investing in your own property. So now we're showing them how to invest in their property. We working with Eandacy, with credit repair that can help people that's not ready to buy yet, but that'll work with them in them steps, and also with the Financial Empowerment Center with the United Way. So those are some of the partnerships that we've partnered with to help us with these things. And as Ms. Terry was saying, now we got the job fair that we're gonna do. We're gonna have probably about 30 to 35 different employers that'll be there to kind of interview people on site to help them with guys. So people shouldn't have an excuse why they can't work.
No, that's good.
Right.
It's very good. The numbers overall, are they in here? And just looking at,
That's just a snapshot.
that's just a
That's just a
snapshot,
snapshot.
yeah.
But the overall
I'd like to-
numbers, like
Yeah.
they said we were leading the nation in eviction, like over 5,000 a year. But
Yeah.
once we started doing and digging into data, we were saying that what we're doing is we're counting the evictions when somebody filed as opposed to the last step when somebody's actually put out. So once we kind of figured those numbers out, we kind of cut our evictions in half. So then we wanted to get a little bit deeper to see, who paid, who figured out that, the city of Akron got right to stay, they paid their rent, or they just moved out before the landlords and tenants came. So that's all in the stout data, so we can have that for you at a later time if you need.
Yeah, I'm interested in this stout thing. I assume
Yeah.
that's a statewide.
It's very important to look at because it also gives a snapshot, not only when the first filing is filed. When you add that mediation component to it, it actually shows when we were able to get the case resolved because it was resolved through mediation. Or because of us Akron being the state of pay, one of the things we notice is we're one of the very few municipalities that are doing that. But that helps as well because the magistrates are able to seal the cases right there on the docket if a person comes in and says, I have the money. And they're able to seal it. And so they're working on right now, our supervisor, Magistrate Bound, they're working on just having a day where they just use that to just seal all those records because once they turn the key in, it helps because now it's not on their record, which
Gotcha,
keeps
yeah.
them.
Can you give us like a picture of because I don't recall when we voted on that, like 2.5 years ago,
Yeah,
maybe?
it's about 2.5 years.
Like before and after with regards to that particular ordinance. Some of us who've been around for a while, we voted on that. And so it'd be interesting to see, the impact and that has had.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
would be very
Magistrate
interesting.
Newman.
Beforehand and after.
Yeah, Magistrate Newman would definitely have those numbers, and I'll get
Okay.
those over to you because one of the things that I realized we were working on the sprint, which is it's like a contest to win money that would go towards our tenant's right to counsel. And so he was able to produce those numbers that we needed during our sprint. So we do have those numbers, and I'll get them
Yeah,
over
that
to
would
you,
be great.
absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
And a lot of the legitimate stuff about the court has to come from our court administrators. We're just here to tell you about one of the wonderful things we
Yeah.
do. But
Yeah.
when they talk about money and budgets and this, that, and the other, that has to come from them. They were very explicit about us not getting into any details about anything like that.
Understand.
Mr. Lombardo, you had something?
But I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Chair. It's okay. I know Phil gets excited. I still have some more questions, if you don't mind. Thank you. Please get us the stat information first, and then I would like to get like a 5-year or so snapshot of the intake, the number of tenants, the number of landlords, and I don't know if you can give us the addresses or not, if you're permitted. But
Yeah,
I'd
it's
like to
public
see
record, yeah.
somewhat of a heat. We could perhaps hand that over to our folks over in IT, our friends in IT. It works until it doesn't, but they do a great job for us. Don't get me wrong. Some of us are not as well versed in IT, but to get a heat map, to kind of like get an idea and then maybe focus our energies as well on where those problems may be
Absolutely.
arising, and then the frequency. And I know from talking and working with Dwayne Greger all these years, you know, what we have some situations where I'm sure, and I'd love to see that data in terms of, you know, landlords who are frequent flyers, if you will, and some that are not, and kind of like look at that and drill down to where the problems exist.
Right, okay.
With some of those, I think we suspect what, and you know, all of that. And then I'd also like an explanation, a little bit more. You had mentioned before about that study that was conducted a while back by, I can't remember who it was, but so it was what they looked at was the cases that were filed initially?
Correct. I believe it was through the Harvard study. Judge Cable was the one that reported that to us when we were hired,
Okay.
that we were leading the nation in evictions. And then once we started
Cases.
digging into the data, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more about that, and maybe we could,
Okay.
you and I could talk about that
No problem.
later, or whatever, because I don't want to take up everyone's time.
Right. So one of the things that I think it's important to note also is a lot of the individuals who are coming to the resource center, they're not actual landlords. One of the things I talked about at Councilman McKittrick's meeting is we're running into a lot of parents evicting adult children. They're not landlords, but they're homeowners.
Oh,
and they're-
adult children.
Yes.
Okay,
and
now
so-
now you get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what we're seeing is we're running into issues where a lot of them think that they only have to file a 3-day notice, but it's really a 30-day notice and then a 3-day notice.
That's a total separate issue, though.
But a lot of them, they don't know that. And then they have a kid there and they just want the kid out or the adult out. And so when we talk about landlords, there's another
Subcategory?
subcategory. It's usually a homeowner, usually
That's
a
wild.
parent evicting a child.
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
we see a lot of that, a lot.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
got a question.
Phil's
Question
next.
about
Say-
Well, he's on the committee, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No, I was just going,
There we go.
when you evict an adult child, is the fact that the child is living there considered to be like an implied contract to live there? Is that the reason why it's done like that?
No, it's kind of like they're squatting
They're almost
with their
like-
parents. That's why they have to go through the 30-day, then a 3-day. The only thing that you can put somebody out for a 3-day is they're actually paying.
Rent,
you're-
and there's a
you're-
lease involved.
There's a lease involved, and you have your property registered with the city of Akron.
So-
But
so
anything else
It's
falls
like an
under.
implied contract then that they have. You gotta abide by my rules to stay here.
I apologize. I've been trying to keep up with everybody. We all have so many questions, but I know, Eric, you're on the committee as well, so we'll try to recognize those on the committee first, and then we'll go into the other members I had noticed. So Eric, and then Phil, and then Linda.
Thank you, Chair. I thought I was being recognized for my amazing tie. Appreciate you today. My question is for you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for all that you guys do. I know that we just had a recent encampment sweep. And with that, I know that that's going to be a huge influx of people coming to you guys and trying to figure out housing situation, where to go and their needs. I'd like to know if you guys, how you guys plan on dealing with that uptick there. And then also the Akron Canton Real Estate Investors Association. They're reaching out in hopes that someone could come and talk to them with their organizational meeting that's coming up June the 11th. I'm hoping that you guys would be able to maybe even figure out a way to engage them as well. What you guys do is so needed, not only with the encampment, not only with meeting with these homeowners association to be able to mitigate and help these folks out, but if you guys can speak to those two things, that would be great.
I'll say, dealing with the homeless, a lot of those individuals choose to be homeless. They're dealing with some mental health. They're dealing with different things. One of the agencies is CSS that works with them, provide them housing, and they choose not to stay there because they would rather be free and have their own rules and not abide by anybody else as opposed to being in a structured situation. That's how I've encountered them. Ms. Tara can speak to how she's encountered anybody that's faced a homeless type situation, but a lot of them choose to be homeless.
One of the things that we come across is a lot of individuals, when they do come for housing, let me take a step back. Our resource center is not just for people who have court cases, and that's one of the things that we're working really hard on making sure we push out, is that we're open and accessible to the entire Akron community, not just if you have a court case. We do get individuals who come in there who are houseless. Some of those are, I have a mom who was sleeping in her car with her kid, but she's someone that we could refer to the RISE program through APS, because that's one of the things that we don't want, is a mom sleeping in her car with her kid. It's on a person-to-person basis. You got some who really want to be in a home, but then you have those who are dealing with a lot of mental health disparities, and it's just really hard to tell. We have our moments where we'll have people who will walk in there that are houseless, and we do our best to help them, but a lot of times it's a lot more tiers to it than just them being houseless.
Yeah, gotcha. No, thank you.
As far as the Realtor Association, yeah, I'll be more than happy to speak. Me and Ms.
Yeah,
Sarah.
they contacted me too. I've been talking with them, and me personally, I advise them to try to get someone else who's more schooled within what they were requesting, and it was primarily around the affordability, the affordable housing piece. And so I talked to Kyle Julian, and I asked him if he would think about, or him or someone. I'm not that well versed. I'm going to try to make that meeting, though. I think it would be prudent to do that, and perhaps the court's having a representative. That's up to them. But no, it's a good conversation to have, and they've reached out for that. So good.
Okay. One of the last things before we leave is talking about some of the funds that we usually tap into for those who come to us for financial assistance with rent. The TANF program is not gone, but it's on a pause because they're trying to catch up. And that right there speaks volumes to where we are in the city. We still have people who are calling who are parents, whether a mom or a dad, and they're single with children, but the TANF program is really one of our #1 resources that we tap into. It's on a pause. We have another one that's the rapid rehousing for youth between the ages of 18 and 24, but again, they're trying to now catch up. Speaking with Jim Casey over at AMHA, who we have a really great relationship with. When we have individuals from the specialty courts to come to us for housing, we're able to send their information over, and they sign a third party with us so we can keep track of where they are on the list. Where I believe last he told me there are almost 50,000 people on the waiting list. So AMHA. So we have a long way to go, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but there's definitely a shortage of housing when you think about individuals who are working, who went from maybe paying $600 a month, and now the landlords have jacked the rent up to $1,000 a month, and we're feeling it. We're feeling it. Even if they're not getting evicted, they're calling us wanting to know, is there any resources for them to be able to pay their rent?
Got you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Phil Lombardo.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
My question was just on the building that, the facade that collapsed on South Main Street. Did you see a lot of people come to you for that?
No.
Because, I mean, they were evicted, right?
No.
Okay.
Nope, none of them.
We tell a lot of our people to tap into their family members too when they need a place. There's no stigma, nothing wrong with going to stay with somebody until you get on your feet.
Yeah.
You got to have those hard conversations because they think that there's money and there's not. And we're getting a lot of calls from United Way, Red Cross, Salvation Army. They're referring people to us now, where we used to refer people to them.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and that's it with all, I'm sorry.
No, I just commenting on
Yeah,
homeless
just with all the
situations there.
uncertainty from the federal side. And we also have, Linda, I'll ask if you'd like to weigh in right now.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Byron and Tara. It sounds like we have the right people in the right positions at this time. Let me ask you, it sounds like you're tackling so much, and I'm not sure how you're tracking your data, but it would be extremely helpful for us to have some accurate data, because when you tell us that the eviction numbers that people have been throwing around for years are totally inaccurate, we need to really know what the real numbers are and where we start. Because And then the rapid rehousing, Tara, you just mentioned 18 to 24, but there are some rapid rehousing dollars that go to United Way to help families that are about to be evicted or on the verge of losing their place. And that should not have that lower age range with it. So I'm not sure if you're tapping into those dollars as well, because those dollars should be for families who are on the verge of losing their places. So if you could answer that question. And the other question I have is the out of town landlords. Are you finding that are you tracking how many people are impacted by that? Because that is something that I mentioned to the mayor. I know they're working on some legislation around that because I would like for us to have a similar policy that they have in Cleveland. If you're out of state landlord, you need to have somebody in town to represent you when it comes to these kinds of situations we're talking about. So that may be a lot, but basically I want you to share your data with us in terms of the various aspects of the people that are being impacted, the true eviction numbers that we're talking about, the out-of-state landlords that may be impacting that number, the rapid rehousing funds that I know that United Way is managing for the city because they get them from the city. I don't think there should be an age limit, the 18 to 24 that you talked about, but I think families should be able to access those dollars.
So thank you. So Councilwoman Amobian, these dollars are Category 2 funds that came through continuum of care, and they have to call 211 and they have to say that they're homeless. So this is a pot of money. It's about $1.6 million that were allocated for this Category 2 outside of everything else. And so there's 3 other homeless agencies, houseless agencies on there that they could be referred to. One of those is Steve Arrington's nonprofit. But those funds are specifically for the 18 and 24. And I know United Way right now, our understanding, what we have is TANF. It's the only thing we have right now, and that is on a pause. This is a totally set, another pot of money that came through continuum of care, that they have to be between the ages of 18 and 24. And so what we're realizing is sometimes when someone says that they're at a family's house on a couch, they're saying that they're not eligible. My understanding is with this Category 2 funding, they are still eligible because they're still homeless. They're sleeping on somebody's couch, so they're really just couch surfing until they find a place. So these dollars are supposed to help them with a security deposit and the first month's rent. So I'll get that information over to you. And one of the things that we realized when we were meeting with EDI is that onset of the first filing of eviction. That means somebody is in trouble. Someone didn't pay something, and that's where it was found. I think it's sort of kind of getting a little, mixing apples to oranges a little bit when we talk about that first initial filing and them actually getting to a court date. And so I think those are the numbers that we have to make sure that we're giving you to make sure that accuracy is there, because it's on their record once it's filed. Whether it makes it through the process or not, it's that first initial filing is what we're looking at. So I'll make sure that we get those numbers to you, whether they come through IT or through Stout, we'll make sure that we get those numbers over to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can send them to Sarah Viviano, myself.
Okay.
And whoever else. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And I didn't want to put anybody on the spot or anything, but Helen Tomic just so happens to be here. And if anyone in our city knows, and if you don't want to comment, that's fine, but anyone here knows about what the future of funding is, because Lord knows, everybody, I think in the United States, is trying to figure out, and I'm sure you are like the rest of us, but I believe for 25, we're okay at this point in terms of funding, but I know you watch it and you're closer to those who's ever left in the federal government to work with, but yeah.
Based on the continuing resolution that was passed in mid-March, we believe that we and the rest of the communities that receive federal funds, like Community Development Block Grant and Home Funds, we should receive stable funding.
For 25, right?
For 25.
For 25, but beyond that, it's all who knows?
Correct.
Can I ask you this, and that is, and it's a little bit off topic, but we don't have any legislation per se, but are you finding it, and you've, again, I'll let you respond, but are you finding it difficult? Have you seen, is cities feeling the impact of any layoffs or whatever
No.
that's going on in the city? I
No.
mean, the federal government
No.
side?
As of right now, our federal representatives in Columbus are still there.
Okay, good.
As of right now, I
Today.
can't guarantee what's going to happen tomorrow, but as of
Correct.
right now, they are still there.
I'm just curious because, you know, we've heard so much and so much of it, you know, you got to sort through because, you know, until you hear exactly what's going on from one who's practiced like yourself, it's hard to determine what's real and what's not. But that's good to know. Thank you. Anyone have any more questions? This has been wonderful.
No.
Oh, Sharon Connor.
No question, just a comment.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. There's so much misinformation out there from people, or people think what they heard or what they said, and I would encourage all of you to invite them to your ward meetings to fend all those questions so that people get accurate information and can access the help they need.
Yes, thank you so much. Oh, Sam?
Yeah, it's just a real quick question. I know that OFA, because I work with some organizations that have these seminars, they call them Empower One seminars, and you were talking about people who could get information on home ownership and those kinds of things. Is that the Empower One series that you're talking about that's coming here for our residents?
No, this is something I'm individually doing with, I got a representative from Huntington Bank, I have a loan specialist, and another representative from Andecy that's gonna help them with credit repair and different things. So that's just a.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for having us.
Anyone else?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for coming. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, that is our final committee meeting of the day. Council will meet in regular session at 6:30.